In this lesson, I'm going to show you a little bit more about personalizing the workspace, saving certain personalizations, as well as going over some of the preferences under Edit. So we've already seen how we can rename these panel groups, move them around, change the size, do all that. Now you'll notice something else when each panel is expanded. You have these three little bullet points and a little caret pointing down. And you'll see these all over the place, up here, down here under Properties. And you have similar things that you can do with those. For instance, let's say you wanted to move just a tab from the tag section into another panel. Well, if you grab that tab and try to move it, it's going to try to move, like let's say we grabbed server behaviors and try to move it. It's going to want to move the whole panel. We don't want to do that, let's say. We just want to move that tab. Well, over here, click on those bullet points with the caret, and you'll see, well, a help on that section, which is kind of nice. Group server behaviors with. So whatever tab you're on, right now we're on server behaviors, but if we were on bindings and we hit that, it would say group bindings with, where do you want to, which panel do you want to put that in? So I could put it in with my own files that I use all the time. Let's say Andre's panel. Let's say I want to create one panel and just group all the tabs that I commonly use in there. So I could group it in there, or group it in another panel that's open, or into a new panel group. Another thing we can do is rename the panel group. We can close the panel group. So let's say we closed just bindings. Now it just took that tab out of there. But we could also close the whole section. Close the panel group, application. It's gone. Now, under Properties, if you right-click over it, because if you left-click it won't show these options, you can close that panel group also. This is the only one you can't rename because Properties, it's standard. You're going to want it called Properties, so they left it unchangeable. But you can group Properties with nothing. That's right. Because Properties is its own panel. So you are limited to a certain degree with that particular panel, but all the rest you can group as you wish. Now here's another interesting section up here. This toolbox up here. Now depending on which tab you're on, Common, Layout, Forms, Data, Spry, Text, Favorites, you're given now icons below that tab. Now we haven't gotten into Forms or Data or Layout. Common, we're going to recognize a few things. Hyperlink, email link. We haven't gotten to anchors yet, but we will. A table we could insert. Rather than going up into a panel or into these sections, we have quick links for them here. Inserting an image. See, you're given a few different options. Also, there's comments. We haven't gotten into that. And a few other options. But here's the interesting thing. This is a tab format, but we can change it to a menu format. Now watch what happens when we do that. Now we don't see all the tabs, but instead they're hidden here. So by switching this, we just have one section that changes. So it's basically your preference. If you think the other looks too complicated, this is a little smaller, and you'd switch to your tab via this route. So let's say this is the view you wanted. As you've progressed using the application, you've begun to see which layout works best for your working style, what you're using the most, and you have a layout that you like. Well, rather than just losing it and having to redo it every time, under Window, Workspace Layout, and I've already saved a layout called Andre's Space, but let's just save another one. Save Current. And I'm going to call this Andre's Layout. Well, let me just call it Andre's Space. Kind of like MySpace, right? 2. Well, the other one's called Layout, so we'll just leave this as Andre's Space. Hit OK. There must have been one already named that. So I just overwrote it. So now Oh, it was called Andre's Space. I was thinking it was called Andre's Layout. But anyway, I just overwrote the one I already had there. So now, if we were at, this is the designer view, if you remember, right? We have designer, split, and code. But there's also a couple other layouts that they've created in here. For instance, coder. Click on that, and you notice everything is switched to over here. Interesting, huh? It's almost like this is the left-handed version. Can minimize that. All right, let's try another one. Now, this one's interesting. Dual screen. Basically, it creates a separate window for almost everything. See how we have the code in a window? We could close out of that. So if we had a large monitor or several monitors, a couple monitors, we could spread these out everywhere so we can see a little bit of everything. Move them around like plates or palettes. But it puts everything, you see, now we have all these panels all grouped together in their own separate little window, and so on and so forth. So, another thing we can do is always go back to Andre's Space, the one we created. So that's saving a view. Once you have it how you want it, it'll save the view. All right. Preferences. If we go up to Edit, Preferences, there's a lot of complex ones in here. I'm just going to go over a couple of them. General, we've already gone over that. Show welcome screen or not. This is an interesting one down here. Maximum number of history steps. Now you may think 50 is a lot, but you'd be surprised. Every little change you make counts, and you may not be able to undo as far back as you like. So there's where you could increase that to 500, or whatever you want, or less. Just takes a little bit more memory the more you put. Spelling dictionary, interesting. So we're given our choices. Maybe we want Spanish. You can choose that from here. All right, we have accessibility. Code coloring. What code do you want the HTML to be in? Remember, in our separate code window over there. Code format. You'll discover what your preferences are in these areas as you move along and working with the application. I'm just going to go over some fairly common or important ones. Copy and paste. This is an interesting one. So let's say you're pasting from the internet. What do you want to paste in to Dreamweaver from the internet? Let's say you copied some text or from a document. Text only will strip it of all styles and personalizations and just insert the text. Text with structure, so it'll make note of the paragraphs. If you copied several paragraphs, put the spacing in. Lists, tables, etc. Text with structure plus basic formatting, so bold and italic. So if you're copying from a section and it's bolded, it'll retain that when it pastes it in. Text with structure plus full formatting, all styles, everything. So you'll know a little bit. It may depend on the document that you're copying and pasting from. You may have to go here and change it on a one-off situation. All right. CSS rules. We're not going to get into that. Neither are we going to get into file compare. Fonts. Font settings. So this is crucial if we speak another language or want to operate the program in a different language so that the characters we enter are not English characters, or perhaps we're designing for a Chinese site. We want to insert Chinese characters. There you go. And a few corresponding settings below. Highlighting, when you highlight, let's say you moused over a section, remember it would turn a color so you'd be able to see. You can change some of those settings here. Visible elements, you'll know a little bit more about those as time goes by and decide which ones you want to see. Cell outline, this is interesting. Table outline, as we begin to deal with tables, you may want the outline of the table or cells to be different from what they're defaulted to here. This is where you change it. Table background, Exactly. When you hit New, just from the welcome screen, what is it automatically going to create? This is where that's changed. As an HTML document is what it's set to by default. But you may want to change that to an XML document or whatever. All right. Preview in browser, we've already gone over that. Status bar, we've gone over this. All right, that'll be it for now. So those are some of the most common need-to-know preferences. So you can go through those on your own also and experiment. Hit OK, and you're all set.